Discover the incredible story of a little girl's hidden quest to find her dad an amazing wife. Lily was not your ordinary 9-year-old. In the small town of Maplewood, where laughter wafted through the air like sweet summer smells from backyard barbecues, she carried a secret mission in her heart. With her dad, Tom, working tirelessly at his struggling auto repair shop, their home felt heavy. Her mother had left when she was just a toddler, and the ache of that absence lingered, like a faded photograph hanging on their wall, the only trace of her. Every giggle from neighbors echoed like a reminder of what they didn't have. Lily loved her dad fiercely. She adored how he bent down to tie her shoelaces, even after long days smudged with grease. She admired his rugged hands that could fix anything and his warm smile, though he could never quite mask the shadows beneath his eyes. In that crumbling house, she saw two lonely souls weaving their stories beneath the same roof. It was heartbreaking, and she was determined to change that. One breezy afternoon, armed with crayons and a roll of craft paper, Lily decided to create the wanted poster of her dreams. With vibrant colors, she captured all of Tom's best qualities: his laugh, gentleness, and how he always made others feel loved. With pinks and blues and the excitement bubbling in her chest, she imagined putting an end to their shared loneliness by finding him an amazing wife. The idea was silly, the kind of thing kids dream about, but this felt right. She could save them. At first, she approached her mother's old friends, the women in Maplewood who laughed over coffee in the afternoons. She watched the way their eyes would flicker when she spoke of her dad. "Do you think you could come over for dinner?" she'd ask with an innocent grin. The responses were often polite smiles fading into whispers, words meant to comfort but felt like nails, hammering down around her heart. Through baby steps, she began to understand how tangled love and longing could be. Before she could fully grasp those complexities, everything reached a boiling point at the town's annual picnic. It was a jubilant gathering where faces brightened with laughter and music. With excitement bubbling in her chest, Lily climbed atop a picnic table, her feet steady on the wood as she clutched her colorful poster. "Everyone!" she shouted, her voice a small spark interrupting the joyful murmur of the crowd. "I'm on a mission to find my dad an amazing wife." Gasps rippled through the air. Faces turned towards her wide-eyed, and even her father froze, his expression shifting from confusion to shock. The laughter around them faded into an uneasy silence as she watched uncertainty dance in the adults' eyes. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Tom's heart raced. The crowd buzzed around them, filled with concern, disbelief, and some whispers of encouragement. Lily's eyes, full of sincerity, beamed at him. In that precious moment, his heart twisted painfully with realization. Would he continue to let grief govern him? Or would he take a step towards joy for his daughter? The air felt thick with possibility, the world around them blending into a wash of colors. In that moment, a single tear trickled down his cheek, glimmering with hope. What choices lay ahead, and how would they step into this new chapter of their lives? The moment stretched, heavy with anticipation. Tom glanced at the faces surrounding him, their expressions morphing from shock to concern, and some even flashed a spark of compassion. The puppy-eyed gaze of his little girl settled deeper in his heart, tugging at something buried. He couldn't allow fear to rule his life any longer. Not when Lily had so bravely stepped into the spotlight, unfurling the cocoon of silence that had enveloped their home for too long. Slowly, Tom took a deep breath, his chest tightening. "Lily," he began, his voice a quiet tremor, "you don't have to worry about me. I appreciate this, I truly do." There was a warmth in his words, but a part of him still wondered how to reconcile his loneliness with the idea of opening up to love again. The crowd hushed, hanging on his every syllable. Tom felt a rush of pressure, the pulse of expectation making his heart race. "What I need is your support," he continued, forcing a smile despite the anxiety swirling within. "I promise, we'll figure this out together." A murmur of approval rippled through the crowd, and a few faces softened into understanding smiles. But as the picnic went on, Tom couldn't shake the weight of responsibility that pressed down on him. He thought back to the late nights at the shop, the conversations never had. How could he let someone into their world when he didn't even know if he could find someone truly right for Lily or himself? Days turned into weeks. Life in Maplewood resumed its usual rhythm, the gentle hum of everyday life flowed around them. But Lily, undeterred by the awkward pause at the picnic, pressed on in her quest. She filled her days with more colorful drawings, crafting a list of potential candidates in her childish handwriting. Patient, funny, likes ice cream, each descriptor flowed from her heart, inspired by the love she inherently recognized in her father. One sunny afternoon, with a spark of brilliance, Lily decided to host a Meet the Candidates Day in their backyard. Without telling Tom, she sent invitations to a few friendly neighbors, a well-meaning teacher, Mr. Anderson, the kind librarian, Miss Clara, and even their cheerful waitress from the diner, Mrs. Lopez. She envisioned music, laughter, and the kind of warmth that healed broken hearts. As Tom walked into the living room that Saturday, he was taken aback. Bright balloons floated against the walls, and the smell of homemade cookies danced in the air. "Surprise!" Lily shouted, her grin wider than the horizon. Tom blinked in disbelief. What is all this?" "I'm introducing you to some amazing people." She clapped her hands, excitement coursing through her little body. "It's time to meet them." His heart swelled and sank simultaneously. Was he ready to meet potential love interests in a one-day event orchestrated by his daughter? The vulnerability of that moment struck him hard. Yet against the backdrop of twinkling lights and happy voices, the thought lingered, perhaps this was the push he needed to let love back into their lives. As guests arrived, Tom watched Lily bounce with joy, welcoming each person with the enthusiasm only a child could master. Laughter bubbled over in the cheerful garden as they shared stories and cookies, but there was a shadow behind Tom's smile. Would this really work? Could he truly allow someone else to tread into their world and stitch together the emotional fabric they carefully kept frayed? Suddenly, a soft voice interrupted his thoughts. "Nice place you have here," said Miss Clara, her warm smile like sunshine peeking out after a storm. With her genuine interest, Tom felt pulled back into their reality, the moment filled with hope and trepidation. But deep inside, another thought fought for attention. What would he say when their eyes locked over the crispy edges of cookies? Would he share the truth of his heart's scars, revealing the man behind the father? The doorbell rang again, echoing with promise. As he hesitated, it struck him that change never arrived without courage to embrace the unknown and allow the magic of connection to unfurl. Could this spark be the beginning of something new? For Tom, this gathering was more than a casual meeting, it was a pivotal moment, one that would unlock once locked doors to not just romance but healing. He took a deep breath as the door swung open, stepping into the unknown together with Lily by his side. What lay ahead would challenge them both, but one question loomed large in the air: who would step forward to light that path alongside them? The door swung wide, and the bright summer sun cast a golden glow over two unexpected guests. Standing there were a pair of twins, their heads crowned with messy hair and their arms overflowing with treats. "We brought lemonade," one shouted, grinning ear to ear. The other, clutching a colorful cupcake, added, "And cupcakes. They're from my mom." Tom felt a wave of warmth wash over him. It was clear Lily's vision was taking shape, the event evolving into something more vibrant than he had anticipated. As he welcomed the little twins in, their laughter filled the air, mingling with the sugary aroma wafting from the kitchen. Among the bustle, Tom spotted Miss Clara slipping over to the cookie plate. Their eyes met briefly, and he felt that familiar flutter in his chest. She smiled, her expression inviting, like she knew the weight of the moment. He appreciated her quiet presence amid the joyful chaos around them. "Hey, Tom," she called, her voice cutting through the laughter. "I hear you're quite the baker. How did these cookies come to be?" Tom chuckled, taking a moment to collect himself. "More like a chaos creator, really. I just throw ingredients together and hope for the best." "Sounds like the secret recipe for a happy kitchen," she replied, her eyes twinkling with mirth. "Just the right amount of mess and cheer." As more guests arrived throughout the afternoon, Mr. Anderson with his guitar and lively stories, Mrs. Lopez with her contagious laughter, Tom began to lose count of the minutes. With each new face came a splash of color to the day, lifting some of the shadows that had clung to him for so long. Lily darted around, a joyous whirlwind weaving through conversations, urging new friends to join in games under the wide blue sky. Tom stood back, watching her thrive, and felt his heart swell with pride. But just as quickly, a nagging fear crept in. Was he truly ready to let someone into their lives? "Tom, can I have a quick word?" Mr. Anderson's voice broke through his thoughts. "You look a bit lost in your own head." "Yeah, just thinking," Tom confessed, running a hand through his hair. "This is a lot to take in." "Change can be daunting," Mr. Anderson said, leaning against the picnic table. "But when you know it's for the better, it's an adventure worth taking. You have a good kid there, one who sees your heart." Tom nodded, heart racing. "I know she deserves happiness." "And so do you," Mr. Anderson said. "You won't find it sitting on the sidelines." With those words, something clicked within Tom. Maybe it was the support from this steady community, or perhaps the courage emanating from his daughter, but he felt a greater push to engage. As the afternoon wore on, laughter echoed, and gentle music filled the air. He caught snippets of stories, laughter that rang out under the bright sky, and for the first time, Tom started to feel the walls around his heart begin to shift. Lily tugged at his shirt, pulling him into playtime. "See on, Dad. You have to join." He couldn't resist her infectious energy. Reluctantly, Tom stepped into the fray, joining a game of tag with a riot of joyful squeals surrounding him. But even in the midst of their laughter, Tom's gaze found Miss Clara again, sharing in their joy. What would happen if he let this connection be more than just passing whims? As the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting beautiful shades of orange and pink across the sky, Tom felt a newfound spark of hope. Could today change everything? Could this be the moment when he truly opened himself up to the possibilities ahead? Just then, a soft voice cut through the evening air. "What's the first thing you want to do when you find love again, Tom?" Lily's innocent question felt like a punch to the gut. Tom paused, realizing his heart was not just yearning for connection but had begun to imagine the kind of relationship he could nurture. His mind flashed with memories of laughter, late-night talks, and the warm embrace of companionship. What did he want? The answer danced on the tip of his tongue, but before he could respond, a rustle from the back of the yard drew everyone's attention. The evening wouldn't end without another surprise. Who would appear from the shadows to challenge Tom's newfound courage? As the last rays of daylight faded, the unmistakable silhouette of a figure stepped into view. It was a young woman, her long hair flowing behind her like a shimmering curtain in the evening breeze. Tom felt a jolt in his chest at the sight of her, a mix of excitement and apprehension. Who was she? What did she want? The murmurs of curiosity rippled through the guests. Children momentarily halted their games, their eyes wide with intrigue. "Hey, everyone!" she called out, her voice bright and engaging. "I hope I'm not too late to join the fun." Tom squinted against the dimming light, trying to identify the newcomer. Suddenly, her face seemed familiar, sparking a memory he couldn't quite grasp. Had they met before? Lily rushed forward, her face lighting up. "You know her, Dad," she shouted. "It's Emma. You went to school together." The name washed over him like a wave, bringing with it both warmth and a tinge of nostalgia. Emma had been someone he admired back in the day, smart, bubbly, always so full of life. They had lost touch after graduating, only to go their separate ways into adulthood. Seeing her now, there was an undeniable spark, an echo of their shared past that brought memories flooding back. Emma. Wow, it's great to see you. Tom managed to say, his voice betraying a mix of surprise and hesitation. Likewise. When I heard from Lily about this gathering, I just had to come. I've missed this neighborhood. She stepped closer, the sun hinting at the warmth in her smile. And who could resist lemonade and cupcakes? Lily practically bounced on her toes. You have to stay. There's so much food, and we just started a game of kickball. Emma's laughter danced in the air, and it curled around Tom, binding them in an unexpected moment of connection. I'd love to, she said, glancing back at him with shimmering hope. As she joined the laughter and chaos of the gathering, Tom watched her slip into the fold. His heart raced. They hadn't seen each other in years, but the comfort and familiarity felt like a warm blanket. Emma engaged the other guests effortlessly, drawing them in with her charm and wit. He was entranced as she coaxed Mr. Anderson into the kickball game, prodding him to kick the ball like a child again. The unease that had been lingering within him from earlier began to fade. Every smile she shared, every giggle from the children, sent small waves of hope through him. Was this another nudge from the universe? Dad! Lily's voice broke through his reverie, pulling him back. Simon! We need you on our team. For a fleeting moment, uncertainty tugged at him. What if this was all too much too soon? But then he felt the infectious energy surrounding Emma and Lily and the others, and for once, the thought didn't scare him. The laughter, the companionship, they felt good. He wanted to be part of it, part of this moment. All right, I'm in. He shouted, dashing toward the game. As he joined in, invigorated by the playful energy, he felt a glance from Emma across the field. Her eyes sparkled as she cheered for him, and for the first time in a long while, an undeniable thrill coursed through him. Just as he settled into the game, however, another rustle came from the back of the yard. The atmosphere shifted subtly, as if a secret had just been revealed. A familiar presence lingered at the edge of the gathering. What could it be this time? Was it a lingering connection from his past, or perhaps an unexpected challenge that could shift everything once again? Tom was knee-deep in the game, his worries momentarily forgotten. He sprinted for the ball, kicking it hard down the field, laughter ringing in his ears. The children's cheers blended with Emma's encouraging shouts. It felt great, alive. But that comfort was short-lived. That rustling at the back of the yard tugged at him again, pulling his focus away from the fun. He turned, straining to catch a glimpse of the figure hidden in the shadows. It was a brief flash, a dark jacket, the glint of an eye. Just as quickly as it registered, the figure disappeared behind the trees. Dad! Lily called, bouncing over after catching the ball. You okay? Tom nodded, shaking it off. Yeah, just thought I saw something. Come on. Let's keep playing. She pulled him back to the game, but a knot had formed in his stomach. The shadows, the memories, they clamored for attention. Soon enough, Emma joined them, colliding with Lily as they both dove for the ball, laughter erupting anew. He found comfort in watching Emma interact with Lily, the ease of their banter lighting a spark in him. Yet, every time he glanced toward the tree line, that knot tightened. There was an urgency in that shadow, a reminder he couldn't shake. After a few rounds of frantic kickball, Emma wiped her forehead, her cheeks flushed with excitement. Okay, I need a break. Anyone thirsty? Me. Lily shouted, and Tom followed suit, thinking that a distraction might settle his turbulent thoughts for a while. They made their way to the refreshments. As they poured drinks, Emma leaned closer, her voice just above a whisper. You look like you've seen a ghost. Everything okay? Tom hesitated, considering if he should share. There was a comfort in confiding, but he didn't want to spoil the joy of the day. Just something I thought I saw. Probably nothing. Just don't let it steal your fun, all right? She replied softly, her brown eyes filled with warmth. Her concern wrapped around him like a reassuring hug. Right. I'll shake it off. He forced a smile, wondering why this felt so important now. Maybe it was because Emma brought with her a sense of hope, a reminder that life could spark joy even amidst uncertainties. The game resumed, and the chaos wrapped around them again. Tom felt lighter beneath the playful shouts. Yet, that dark figure at the edge loomed still in his mind. It gnawed at him, a whisper of fear that something was off. Then it happened. As Tom prepared to catch the ball mid-air, a shadow danced into view. It wasn't just a shadow, it was a body, stepping out of the trees. His heart raced. Dad! Lily's voice piercing through his thoughts. Look! He moved instinctively, rushing toward the new arrival, adrenaline surging through him. There stood a figure with familiar features, an older man with piercing blue eyes that mirrored his own. A cold wave washed over Tom as memories rushed back of an unresolved past. James. His voice trembled. Suddenly, the laughter dulled, and eyes turned toward the stranger. Emma stood beside him, her expression a mix of confusion and concern. The air thickened as everyone awaited an explanation, his family, his friends, all drawn into the emerging conflict. What was James doing here? And why now, of all times? Would this change everything he'd just started to embrace? As the crowd encircled them, an electric tension filled the air. Tom's heart raced as he stood there, caught between the warmth of rekindled connections and the cold reality of unresolved confrontations. How would he respond? Would he be able to open the door to a past he seemed so eager to leave behind? The silence stretched, wrapping around Tom like a thick fog. His breath hung in the air as he searched James's face for answers, for any indication of why he'd shown up now, after years of absence. Each second felt like an eternity, the laughter from the game fading into the background. James looked older, wearier. The blue eyes that once sparkled with mischief now reflected a deep weariness, hinting at stories left untold. Tom, he finally said, his voice rough, breaking the silence that surrounded them. Why are you here? Tom barely managed to ask, his pulse quickening. Each word tasted bitter on his tongue, a mixture of anger and confusion. I know it's been a long time, James started. I've made some mistakes you have no idea, Tom interjected, the hurt bubbling up, feelings he thought he'd buried years ago now clawing their way to the surface. How could he stand there, acting as if everything was fine? As if simply showing up could mend a shattered past? Emma stepped forward, instinctively sensing the shift in the air. Maybe we should take this somewhere private? She suggested gently, her gaze darting between Tom and James, wanting to diffuse the tension but clearly aware of the storm brewing. No! Tom exclaimed, the force of it surprising even him. Why should we? Why shouldn't everyone hear what he has to say? His voice trembled, raw and on the edge. The kids stood back, their innocent faces watching the unfolding drama with wide eyes. Because it's not just about us anymore, James said quietly, stepping forward, his hand instinctively reaching for the edge of Tom's sleeve. I didn't come to hurt you, Tom. I came to explain. I didn't think you'd want to see me again, but what? Tom's heart raced with a mix of indignation and curiosity. You thought you could just pop back into my life, after all these years? I came back to make things right. I just found out I am not well, James admitted, his voice shaky. I need you to understand why I left. I need you to understand me. Lily's eyes darted between her dad and the stranger, sensing the weight of the moment. Dad? She whispered, searching for his gaze, her youthful innocence a bright spot in the tension-drenched air. In that pause, something shifted within Tom. He felt the tender pull of family, a connection deeper than conflict. Still, fear curled tightly in his chest. Would this be another upheaval, another fracture in the fragile peace he had begun rebuilding? He looked back at James, at the boy who had once idolized the man standing before him. The old wounds fought for space, but Lily's eyes, sparkling with hope, reminded him of the importance of family. He took a deep breath, feeling a mix of determination and apprehension. "Fine. Talk," Tom said, his voice steadier now, holding back the flood of emotions. "But you better say something worth saying." As he steeled himself for the conversation, something deep in his gut shifted. The path ahead seemed fraught with obstacles, but maybe, just maybe, this was a chance for healing. What lay buried in James's words? What truths were waiting to unfold? As Tom prepared to confront his past, he couldn't shake the uncertainty of where this could lead them, all teetering on the edge of revelation and heartache. "Dad?" Lily's voice cut through again, tinged with concern. "Are you okay?" Then, without warning, from the shadows behind James, another figure emerged, and the air turned electric. Who else was here, and what would they bring to this already complicated reunion? The figure stepping out from the shadows was a woman, her presence sharp and striking. She looked to be in her late 30s, with dark hair that fell in waves around her shoulders. Her eyes flared with a fierce intensity that made Tom's heart skip. There was something familiar about her, yet he couldn't place it. "Who are you?" Tom's voice was thick, laced with suspicion. Lily clung to his side, her small hand gripping his tightly. Emma shifted nervously, her eyes darting between them and the newcomer. "It's okay," James said quickly, raising his hands as if to calm the growing tension. "This is Mia. She's someone I met recently." Mia stepped closer, her expression softening as she looked directly at Tom. "I'm here for James," she said, her voice steady but gentle. "He's been struggling more than you know, and he needs support. I thought you might want to hear what I have to say too." Tom's brow furrowed. "Support? You just show up out of nowhere, and you think you can support him? You have no idea what he has done." James winced at Tom's words. "I know I messed up. But I didn't come here to fight. I just need you to hear her out. You might understand more than you think." Lily's grip tightened, her young face scrunching up in confusion. "Dad, is she your friend?" Tom looked down at his daughter, her innocent eyes wide and trusting, as if the answer could somehow change everything. He didn't want to shield her from the truth, but how could he explain the chaos swirling around them? "Yes, sweetheart," he managed to say, forcing a smile that felt shaky at best. "Just, stay close, okay?" Mia took a deep breath, a hint of vulnerability breaking through her strong exterior. "I know I'm a stranger to you, Tom. But I care about James, and I want you to understand why I'm here. He's scared, and he's been through so much. He needs you. Needs me." Tom scoffed, the bitterness bubbling back up. "After abandoning me and my family, does he think I'm just going to play the good guy?" "Mia's right," James interrupted, his voice cracking. "I made some terrible choices. I left you, I left all of this behind, and I've been carrying the weight of it ever since. I just didn't know how to be the person you needed me to be." The air felt thick, heavy with unresolved feelings. Tom could feel the anger and hurt coursing through him, desperately fighting for space against the flicker of long-buried affection. He clenched his fists, fighting the urge to lash out, his heart caught between two opposing forces. "Then why come back now?" he finally asked, his voice softer but still edged with pain. "Why put this on me? Don't you see how much is at stake?" "Because there's still time," James said, his eyes pleading. "I want to try and make things right for all of us. There are things we have to talk about, things I haven't said yet." In that moment, Mia stepped closer, looking directly at Tom. "It's not just about the past. It's about creating a future too. It's about healing together, if you're willing." Tom's thoughts raced. What kind of future could they possibly rebuild from the ruins? He could feel Lily's anxious gaze searching for reassurance in a time when he felt anything but certain. Can we even trust him again? Tom's question hung in the air, stark and trembling with emotion, as uncertainty fractured through the fragile hope settling among them. Trust needs to be rebuilt, Mia said softly, but it starts with honesty. If you let him, James has something to say that might change everything. As the storm inside Tom brewed, he realized there was one choice that lay ahead of him. How much was he willing to risk for a chance at healing? And deep down, what was the truth that could change everything for them all? Before he could respond, the past felt like it came rushing back, and the room pulsated with unspoken questions. What was James hiding, and could the answers finally mend the shattered pieces of their lives? The silence stretched, so thick it felt suffocating. Tom could see the expectation in Mia's piercing gaze and the weariness in James's features. It was as if they stood on the edge of a great precipice, and the truth lay somewhere below. Lily shifted beside him, her tiny hand still clenching his. "Daddy?" she whispered, wide eyes glistening with worry. The tremor in her voice broke through the tension for a moment, grounding Tom in the reality of his daughter's innocence. He didn't want her to feel the weight of this situation. "I know it's confusing, Lily," he replied, kneeling to be on her level. "But I'll always protect you, no matter what." Her face relaxed slightly, though the apprehension lingered. Mia cleared her throat, bringing everyone back to the moment. "James has been through a lot, but there's something important you both need to hear. He's not the only one who carries blame. Sometimes, the choice to walk away isn't just about leaving, it's about vulnerability, fear failing those we love." Tom shot a glance at James, his heart thudding as the raw honesty hit home. He recognized that fear, tied to a past Tom had been trying to outrun for years. Could he somehow find a way to forgive? I need to know what you want to say," Tom finally said, his voice steadying. "If we're going to talk about rebuilding, we have to lay everything on the table." James straightened, a flicker of hope igniting in his eyes. "It's about the accident. The night I left. I've needed to say this for so long. You think I turned my back on you, that it was a simple choice. It wasn't." He paused, swallowing hard. "I was scared. I lost control. I thought I'd come back, but, by then it was too late. I was paralyzed by guilt." Tom's breath hitched. The memories of that night haunted him. How many sleepless nights had he replayed those moments, how many times had he wished for a different outcome? "I wanted to come home, to be there for you both. But I didn't know how. Every day I thought of calling, but I was afraid you'd hate me. And then, when I met Mia, she helped me realize that running away never made sense. I've been searching for a way back. A path to fix everything, to be the father I should have been." The air shifted, a fragile glimmer of understanding flickering between them. Tom wrestled with the torrent of emotions, the fierce rejection warring against a yearning to open up again. Was he strong enough to let hope back in, to even entertain the idea of reconnection? "I want to know the truth," Tom said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I deserve that, and so does Lily." Mia nodded, empathy echoing in her eyes. "Truth can hurt, but it can also set you free." She leaned in, her voice dropping to a hush. "There's more, Tom. There's reason to believe this could lead to healing, not just for you and James, but for Lily as well." Tom turned to James, searching for answers in the man who had become a symbol of betrayal. He was right there, standing in front of him, vulnerable in a way that made Tom reconsider everything. "What else haven't you told me?" Tom asked, his heart racing with anticipation as if he were at the brink of an incredible revelation. James took a breath, his eyes fierce and determined. "There's something you need to know about Lily and about me. It's bigger than you think." As Tom processed this, time felt as if it had slowed, the weight of impending revelations heavy in the air. Would this truth shatter the tenuous peace they were beginning to build? Desperation mingled with hope. Could this really be the moment that changed everything? What was the unspoken truth that could alter their paths forever? A heavy pause settled over the room, the kind that felt like a thick blanket, wrapping everyone in an atmosphere fraught with unspoken fears and fragile hopes. Tom's heart raced, each beat resonating in his ears. The air was thick with anticipation, and he could sense the gravity of James's next words as if they were about to shatter the facade they had all carefully built. James cleared his throat, his eyes darting between Tom and Lily. "It's about Lily," he repeated. "The truth is, she's much more than you know. I didn't just walk away from my family. I walked away from the only light I had left." Tom felt the world tilt slightly. "What do you mean?" he asked, confusion lacing his question. Mia laid a comforting hand on Tom's arm. "Whatever it is, we're here to listen. Just be honest," she encouraged, her voice steady, anchoring him amidst the storm of emotions. James inhaled deeply, his shoulders slumping as if a great weight pressed upon him. "I never told you that there were complications with Lily from the start. When things went wrong that night, it wasn't just the accident. It was that my life was intertwined with her in a way you couldn't imagine." Tom frowned, trying to comprehend. "What does that mean? What complications?" "There were things I never wanted to burden you with, but after I left, I reached out to the doctors. There were test results that indicated something about her health. Something you needed to know." Tom's breath caught in his throat. "Health? What are you talking about?" He could feel panic creeping in, the fog of fear wrapping around his heart again. James pressed his lips together, the fear evident in his eyes. "Lily struggled with developmental delays. They tested her. I was supposed to tell you, but I didn't want to admit it to myself or to you." "What?" Tom's voice rose, a mix of disbelief and desperation. "Why didn't you say anything? She's my daughter. I deserve to know." "I know," James replied, anguish flooding his voice. "I didn't handle it right. It was shame and guilt that kept me silent. I didn't want you to think I was walking away from her, too. But it felt like I was losing everything all over again." Tom felt as if the ground was shifting under him, the pieces of the past tumbling together in a chaotic swirl. "What am I supposed to do with this?" Mia squeezed his arm tighter, her eyes darting between them. "We can work through this. You cannot let fear take control. Maybe this truth, as painful as it is, could lead to better care for Lily. We can figure things out together." James stepped closer, looking directly into Tom's eyes. "I just want you to understand I never meant to hurt you or her. I wanted to protect both of you." Tom felt the air grow cold. His heart was torn between the powerful urge to shield his child and the desperate need to know how to navigate this maze of grief and guilt. "And what if I can't forgive you? What if?" Before Tom could finish, Lily squeezed his hand tighter, her innocent blue eyes searching his for reassurance. "Daddy?" she murmured, her voice small but filled with an unexpected strength. "Can we fix this? Please?" The desperation in her voice wrung Tom's heart, making his resolve waver. What were they about to do? As they stood on this precipice, the unknown loomed ahead, a chasm filled with fears and possibilities. James's gaze dropped to the floor before meeting Tom's again. "There's still more to say. More you need to understand about this path. If we're going to do this, we need to confront everything. Could this really be the moment they transformed their pain into a future? A chance to rediscover what it meant to be a family?" The questions swirled, weaving a complex tapestry of hope and fear. "What else is there?" Tom whispered, bracing himself for the truth that hung in the air, thick and electric. Would it bring them closer or push them further apart? Suddenly, silence of the room shifted, and Tom realized that whatever waited next could turn their world upside down again. A heavy pause stretched between them as Tom braced himself for the next revelation. In that moment, Lily squeezed his hand, her small fingers anchoring him. The air felt thick with tension, but her presence ignited a flicker of hope within him. She was his little warrior, exuding innocence and strength despite the chaos swirling around them. "I know what I've done," James continued, his voice raw with emotion. "I've failed as a father. But I'm here now because I believe it's time to confront the truth together. Lily's future is at stake." Tom inhaled sharply. "What do you mean?" Panic coiled tightly in his chest. Each word felt like it was pulling at the foundation he had begun to establish again. James took a breath, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. "You remember that night, the accident? I thought I lost you, Tom. Not just to the accident but to the chaos I created. It was never just about me, it was also about us. And when I saw the test results it broke me all over again." A knot formed painfully in Tom's throat. "What test results?" he pressed. "What did you find out?" "Doctors said there was a chance Lily is holistically and emotionally affected by the absence of both parents. That the disconnect, it could impact her development in ways we didn't predict. It's a lot easier to neglect the truth when we're scared." Tom's heart raced. He felt like he was teetering on the edge of an abyss. "So, what? You thought just leaving would solve everything?" "No. I thought trying to protect you both from the hurt would. It was a coward's decision, I see that now. I cherished my memories and her smile haunted me. I thought the pain would only deepen if I was around, but failing to inform you was a huge mistake." Tom felt that truth seep deep into his bones. It was like a tidal wave crashing over him. "And you didn't think to get in touch?" "I was overwhelmed," James exclaimed, his voice breaking. "I thought it was too late. But Lily, she's bright. She's a beacon of hope, just like you. I'm terrified it might be too late for us, all of us." The weight of those words struck Tom, causing emotions to surging up he had long buried. Looking at Lily, he felt the vision he'd always had of a family rekindling itself. She was deserving of love, caring, and all the best in life. Tom swallowed hard. "What do you want from me, James? Do you expect me to forgive you just like that?" "No, not like that," James replied earnestly. "I'm asking you to allow me to be a part of her life again. I realize I don't have the right to decide her future, but I want to help. The diagnosis, it might mean she needs more attention, more support than just one parent. You shouldn't have to do this alone." Silence enveloped them again as they processed the weight of James's plea. A mixture of apprehension and hope filled the air. Lily gazed up at her dad, her face brightened with something akin to belief. "Please, Dad?" she asked, her voice small but packed with sincerity. "Can we try?" Tom's heart squeezed painfully. The worry, the fears, they danced like shadows across the walls of his mind. But then he looked at his daughter, the fierce sincerity in her eyes, and he felt that flicker of hope rekindling. He turned back to James. "You want to be a part of this? You really mean it?" "Yes," James affirmed, locking eyes with Tom. "I know I can't erase the past, but I want to at least try to rebuild the future. I'll do whatever it takes." A tremor of uncertainty lingered, but also a newfound strength. "We can't just jump into this. There's too much on the line." James nodded. "I understand. I'll earn your trust back. Together, we can build a support system that Lily needs. A family shouldn't be divided, it should be a web of love." Tom's breath seemed to hitch. He felt conflicted but empowered. The lingering question remained, could he open his heart, however temporarily, to someone who so deeply wounded him? "All right, we can figure this out together," he said, looking back at Lily and then back to James. "But it's going to take time, patience, and a whole lot of effort from all of us." Tears glistened in James's eyes, and a wave of relief washed over Tom. Maybe this was the step toward healing they all needed. As the weight of that moment settled, Lily let out a small cheer, breaking the tension with her innocence. "This is gonna be great. We're gonna be a team." Tom couldn't help but smile at her enthusiasm. For the first time in a long time, hope began to blossom within him, laced with possibilities. With one cautious step forward, the shadows began to lift just a little, exposing the light of a new chapter waiting to unfurl. Mia, watching closely, shared a warm smile with them both. It's a journey, but there's incredible potential in rebuilding. We'll take it one baby step at a time. And so, they stood together, each carrying the weight of the past but daring to step out into the sunlight of a new beginning. Embracing uncertainty, they began to carve out a story anew, one of love, healing, and the undeniable strength of family. Together, they were ready to take that leap toward tomorrow. Now is the time. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will melt your heart. This is the moment to show your support. Hit that like button now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. We want to hear from you. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending below. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation. Let us spread love together.